Welcome to DAX Machina. Join us as we explore the mysteries of this world. Cryptids, monsters, macabre tales, and horror stories abound. Could they be true? Are monsters real?
Good evening, folks, and thank you for joining us on another edition of DAX Machina. Joining us tonight is my partner in crime, Anthony Canatella, and we have a very special guest in the house, Stacy Brown Jr., also known as Bigfoot Stacy, who is a Bigfoot researcher in the Florida region. He's a specialist in the Skunk Ape, and he has got some amazing stories to talk to us about tonight. Stacy, could you introduce yourself to our audience?
Hello, I am Stacy. Did you want more? Yeah,
maybe a little, maybe just a little.
I'm a filmmaker and skunk ape researcher down in the great state of Florida. If you don't live here, don't move here, but you should. Like, you should have been born that way because this place is amazing.
Yes, it is.
But we're full, so please stay away. We've all got COVID. Yeah, so. You know, I do things as a musician, actor. You know, I've done all kinds of manner of things, and yeah, that's about it.
Well, we appreciate you joining us, sir. I know you've got a lot of boots on the ground time, and we're really excited to have you with us. I know you've got quite a few videos out and a documentary with the second one about to come out. You want to tell us a little bit about that first documentary?
So yeah, the Skunk Ape Lives is basically a culmination of my first 7 years in, you know, looking for this creature. I got the best stories, you know, that I came across in this time, and I guess the Skunk Ape Lives is because it's better than me being an author, right? Like, so books are boring. I'm not saying don't read books. If you like it, go for it. But like, to me, that's not my thing. I have to like be visually stimulated, I guess. So it's, instead of writing a book, I just made this documentary with just, I guess, trying to make the case of the skunk ape. You know what I mean? To tell you why I believe the skunk ape lives, and I show you all the best eyewitnesses and the weirdest evidence and things that have been found along my 7 years of research. So that's that, and you know, it's going well. It's a lot of people have watched it. We hit over 1 million views on YouTube not long ago. So,
well, congratulations on that. That's awesome. I know everybody's got their stories on what got them involved in this in the first place, but what is the motivation? What brought you into this subject?
So, Unsolved Mysteries. Dave Shealy was on there. He had a video out. And so I was just like, wow, these things are in Florida. You know, you could be running around in the woods. And then that kind of really started it. You know, when I was young, my dad watching these shows and, you know, me watching them too with him. And it just kind of grew like an interest that kind of kept with me. But I didn't really get into, I guess, doing actual research until I was camping with my friend. I mean, we were going camping already. Like, me and my dad have been checking out areas and stuff, but it wasn't really nothing that I became obsessed with until I, you know, had my first encounter, and then that was, you know, the deal sealer.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think Unsolved Mysteries is really brought a lot of people into this field. I used to watch a lot of those old insert shows with Leonard Nimoy. I really started getting into the subject back when I was a kid in the 70s, and it's just kind of blossomed from there. But I think everybody's got that one focal point that's what really sparked the interest. And one of the things I always like to ask everybody that we have on the show, what is your most terrifying encounter?
Funny you ask. Okay, so in my new film, I think I'm going to die at one point.
Really?
Yes. I'm not going to tell you why. So I'll tell you my other most terrifying encounter. But so my new film formed this group, Outcast Paranormal, and because right now I'm under the impression that UFOs, ghosts, and Bigfoots are all connected in some way.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I didn't start out like that, but the group, that's what the group's about, trying all these new things, because nobody's learned nothing new about the paranormal in like 60 years. We're all doing the same thing we were doing back then, and we have furthered nothing. So that's the whole basis around the group. But we got a trilogy coming out. It's called the Skunk Ape Experiments, and in that I get into a situation. I actually make a video for my children.
Really?
I thought I was about to die. I thought it was about to go down. I was going to be, because I was in a place, I hiked into this swamp, where I shouldn't have been. You know what I mean? And left my gun on accident. And you had to cross through these swamps and 3 rivers in Mayaca, of all places.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and then I got stuck in this. The reason I thought I was about to die because I got stuck in a spot where I was. And I'm not saying that I thought a skunk ape was going to kill me, but I was skunk ape hunting when I was there. I got stuck in a spot where I thought it was it. But anyway, so back to your question. Sorry, I ramble, so you'll have to deal with that.
No problem at all.
But I'm good looking, so you get that part. You know what I mean? It's a trade-off. You'll get that. So, okay, I'm at this place, the Bridges property. You may have seen it if you're a big Finding Bigfoot fan. The second episode they had was in Florida. They went to the Everglades, and then they had this couple up in northern Florida who had a handprint on the inside of their door. I don't know if anybody remembers that, but
I think I remember that episode.
Handprint on the inside of this door, and then the one part everybody does remember is Bobo falls down the damn stairs, a lot of stairs. So they put her name on the TV. You know what I mean? I contact her, researching this property for years, where I had my first encounter. And I get there one night. It's after I won Bigfoot Bounty. So when I won Bigfoot Bounty, I had a research grant. I could have done whatever I wanted to with my money. You know what I'm saying? It was just a check, basically, right? So, but I decided I was going to actually pay myself to Bigfoot. That was going to be my full-time job until the money ran out, and then I figured it out then. Probably not the smartest thing to do, but that's what I did. I was like, I'm going to do this. And so I would go out to this property for days at a time. 10 days, and then have 10 days off, because this is my job. I make the rules. But I went out there one night, and I went out to go on the trail by myself, because most of my research when I had that ended up being by myself, because everybody else had real jobs.
Yeah.
Monday through Friday, go Bigfooting. Even if I didn't stay the night, I'd go out to the woods for some amount of time during the day. And then, so I get out there. I set my stuff at the sugar shack, the cabin, and I head out on the trail. I get up to this one spot, and I hear this a moaning cry. Right? It's oh! I couldn't tell if something was hurt or something was crying, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I just got this strong feeling over, you get that gut feeling.
Oh yeah.
I got that, and it said, "Get the fuck out of the woods, bro. Get your ass out of the woods right now." So I turn around and I go and I sit on the porch. I'm like, well, I'm still gonna stay here, but I'm gonna sit here on the porch. And then 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, I get tired. I go to sleep, in the cabin. Once again, I left my gun sitting in the car. I took it out while I was sitting there, put it in the car like an idiot. But I'm sitting there sleeping, and I hear like these knocks on the top of the roof. It sounds, I'm like, oh shit, it's raining. You know what I mean? So I sit up in bed because I'm thinking I might have left my windows down. And then I realize it's not rain. It's like rocks or something. And then I hear, because there's this small little porch. It's just maybe 3 feet, 4 feet wide. Right. It's not much of a porch, just swing it one in. And I hear a footstep. I hear another footstep. I hear a third footstep. I don't hear a fourth. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh shit, somebody's here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then the door. It may have been longer than that. Shit, it seemed like it lasted 30 minutes. It didn't last that long. It may have just been a little bit longer than that. I stand up, I grab my knife. Like the chain on the door is the only thing that's locked it, right? That's the only thing there is. This is just like a shed, basically. They turned into a little cabin. And that chain is just like every time it's doing that. And then I don't hear nothing. And I'm standing there with my knife thinking something's about to come through the damn door and I'm about to die. Nothing ran off. It stood there, I guess. I was under the impression, like if I'd have had my gun, I'd have shot through the damn door. Like I'd have just started shooting the damn door. Like don't be up here fucking around. Everybody knew I had a gun and knew that's what would happen because we openly talked about it. Please don't scare me because I might shoot you. You know what I mean? Like that's a good possibility. If you're out here in a suit messing with me, don't do that because I'm in it to win it on this. At the time, I'm trying to kill one anyways. Right? So hell, if I got it beaten on the other side of this door, if I had my gun, I'd have emptied my gun. So I stood there, scared as hell, bro. And that was it. Never heard it run off. I ended up sitting down back in the bed. I don't think I went to sleep that night.
I don't blame you. I don't think I would have slept either. Here's something that I've been meaning to ask, and I probably could have asked Anthony this as well, but it's something that just occurred to me. I know one of the big problems they've got in the Everglades right now is the population explosion of pythons that have been released into the wild. Do you think that's affected the Bigfoot population at all?
I don't know. I mean, you can get caught, but like these things don't seem to get caught.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I don't think that's a real issue for them. It's an issue for everybody that goes down there.
Mm-hmm.
There are big snakes down there. Like the majority of the pythons are small.
Yeah.
6, 7.
I heard the biggest one they've caught so far is like 17 feet or something like that.
It was like 18 something the other day.
Dang, it's a big snake.
Yeah, and the state is to the point now where the state's paying people to go down there and do it. Like I know a few people who actually do that for a living. You know, the skunk ape, they tend to not stay in the watery areas anyways, like at least living wise. You know what I mean? If you follow the reports down there, people are always seeing them where the dry ground is.
Yeah.
It could be one or two things. It'd be because, you know, they're staying in that area. That's where most of the animals are at. Or, you know, that's where the people can go to. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
But the sightings tend to lead them towards the dry ground, which is, I mean, it's not really going to help them with the snakes. But the pythons, they do a lot of catching their food from the water, like in the water. It's very familiar with the water kind of snakes, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is what it is. It's another danger. I don't think it really affects them as it does like the deer population, you know, things of that nature. It's already happened. Like it's done. Like just give it time. They cannot put a dent in the population on the snakes. They're gonna fucking eat everything. the state's messed up. The state screwed that one up.
Yeah, I heard that there people that used to go out into the Everglades say that now it's very very hard to see so much as a possum or a raccoon at all.
Yeah, well, say that, but then go down to the glades and you ain't gonna see a snake. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, chances of you seeing one are slim to none. My last trip, I went down there. I was all up in the woods. I didn't see a snake. And I promise you, I was looking for them. Like, I was scanning the ground, bro.
Yeah, I don't blame you. One thing I would be constantly watching out for down there. I'm here in Missouri. I mean, we still got to watch out for snakes, but most of the ones you got to watch out for here are venomous.
Oh yeah. Well, we got a good number of them too. So the problem is you can let any snake go in Florida. Like, people caught king cobras. Like FWC has to go and catch all kinds of wild exotic pets. You let out anything. Hell, there was a time when I was in Mayaca City. I guess this was one of the other times I was terrified. I get a text from my buddy, and he's like, "Yo, bro, 3 big cats just escaped. They are looking for them now." I'm like a mile from where the big cats are at. And you're telling me there's 3 600-pound tigers running around the fucking woods right now?
Yeah, that's not a good day.
Good news. I was terrified then too. I was like, "Oh yeah, we're getting out of here, guys."
So there are a lot of hot spots in Florida, but what do you think is the biggest hot spot for skunk ape activity?
That you have to think at that point, like, how many can there be?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because if you get on the internet or listen to some of these people talk, they're all over the place. Right? Oh, I got a hot spot, it's here. And somebody else says, I got a hot spot, it's here. I got a hot spot, it's here. And so if that's the case, then there is no hot spots. They're just all over the state, and there's thousands of them. But that's probably not the case at all. I think what it is that they just constantly moving. If they are, if we're, like, I guess hypothetically saying that they're like a primate.
Yeah,
they're just constantly moving, up and down the state. But your rash of sightings come and go. Like, certain areas of Ocala get hot, right? Like, and then it'll move to another spot, or like Mayaca, it'll be hot for just a few months out of the year, and then it'll kind of die off. How long are they leaving for? Are they staying in the same area? Because, like, some of my reports, there's just one neighborhood in Mayaca, and it is just year round. You know what I mean? It can happen at any time during the year. So obviously they're staying somewhere in them areas. Maybe there's more of them than I believe, but you also got people seeing 20-foot Bigfoots out there too, right? So,
well, people when they're afraid, they always estimate things to be bigger than they are. Adrenaline will alter your perception. Like, for example, when I was a cop, we had a guy said that a guy pointed a gun at him, and he said it had to be at least 45 caliber. That barrel was huge. When we caught the guy, it was a 22.
Right. And then some of them are like shadows in the trees.
Mm-hmm.
So
right.
The best areas I've been, hands down, is the Torreya State Park area, the Quincy, Gadsden County area. It's nuts, man. I've been to the Glades a few times, ain't never really had nothing happen. I'm just gonna be honest. And then, like, Osceola, it's vast, but it's not hard to get activity there.
Yeah.
Right? Ocala, that's real big, and that's like hit or miss.
Yeah.
Like, in what I've done, I've went to several spots in Ocala. Ain't jack crap happened. Doesn't mean there's nothing going on in Ocala. It just may only be like a family of, or a population of 20 to 30 of them that are moving around all these hundreds of thousands of acres.
Oh yeah, it's really big by me.
So if you go by like, you have to go by what you know, what you've done.
Mhm.
Because if you listen to all these people, like, bro, like seriously, 30 people right now telling me that there's, you know, hot spot here. I'm seeing them all the time. You have activity all the time. Maybe it's just the whole state, you know. But from
Right.
what I know, when I go to a lot of these places, because I used to do that, I would be like, yeah, hell yeah, I'll go out there with you, see what you got going on. And then nothing would happen. But it was a big talk before. So,
Right.
in my opinion, it would be the Gadsden County area. Chattahoochee, that's like the Garden of Eden area, right? So, like, apparently some theologian, or however you say that word, came down in the 50s and figured out that the Apalachicola River Basin was the Garden of Eden. He linked it to all these things in the Bible, like 27 of the 28 trees grow that are from the Bible in there, and then like there's one tree that only grows in the Holy Land and in the Garden of Eden, and that tree is there. Right? But it's only there from like 300 to 400 feet elevation. So it's odd that you just have these series of trees growing in a certain like region. But I don't know. Maybe because people go out there looking for cane. Like my buddy Connor Flynn, he says when he's going in that area, he's looking for cane because of the Bible. But Cain, I guess the description is of a Bigfoot. You know,
The mark of Cain.
Right. So I'm telling you, I've got some killer audio out of that spot. Obviously, my dad's thermal came out of there, so I had my first encounter. They're definitely there, and there are a lot of reports that come out of there.
Yeah, the one that you have on thermal was that was crazy, running from tree to tree. That was nuts.
Well, so like I tend to think maybe those are Bigfoots, right? And then so like south of Ocala, you have kind of a different creature. I don't know if that's true, but some of the reports that come out of South Florida are of a different creature. And so like what you have in this area is it's basically the Chattahoochee River runs from here all the way up into North Georgia, up into that mountain range up there. And it's kind of the foothills, like of the Appalachians, right? Because it's the only spot in Florida with elevation. It looks more like Missouri if you go out in the woods in Missouri, right? So it's a very hilly, up and down, not quite mountains, but you know what I mean. And I don't know if maybe there's something to that. They like that kind of land, but those the reports out of there are always of like Bigfoot type creatures, not this like skunk ape type, because you get a different, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
There's two different things people here are seeing, and I think it boils down to like the Sarasota skunk ape photos, you know, the ones that were sent to the sheriff there. A lot of people report that. Are they lying? Because I don't believe those photos. Right? So then that makes me think, okay, hey, because I'm still getting Bigfoot style reports. I think probably just a different name, but the same animal.
Yeah, it looks more like an orangutan. That's what they got on those, I think. Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah, I actually had a guy call me last year talking to me that the photos were real. There was actually a video of it, and his family was in possession of it, and then he was going to take me to where this thing still was. And then I can't remember what. I think my mom got in a wreck right after that, and I just kind of forgot about it.
And you never heard anything?
No, he didn't come calling me back or nothing like that. So
yeah, I mean, like we talked about, there's a lot of, you know, like what you do and I do and what DA does and everybody else that we're pretty close to. Some of these people, you know, I'm not saying it's true or not, but they give us a bad name right off the bat when they start, you know, like you got a couple of people out there. Right. You know, it's like, well, that's my area. You can't go there. Or that's mine. You can't do this. I'm not like that. You know, If you said to me, hey, Ann, I'm coming up to Ocala, like, come on. You know, hey, man, right here. I can't make it, but here it is, man. Go have fun. Have at it. I don't care. You know?
Right, like, because what are they going to do that we're not? You know what I mean? It's like, they might see a Bigfoot. Oh, well, what can I do about that? You know, it's
Right.
not on the spot, you know, but...
Right. I mean, it doesn't bother me.
They take this seriously, man.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, if you think about it, we don't have a good image to begin with.
Mm-mm.
Everybody thinks you're nuts.
Right.
Like the Bigfoot community needs to come to terms with that.
Right.
They quit like acting like, oh, you know, hey, these people, y'all make us look like a joke with these circles and red faces. Like, bro, have you told people what you do?
Right.
Hey, how are y'all doing tonight? Yeah, I hunt a 8-foot tall, hairy man that runs around the woods naked. How the fuck do you think you around to people? Like,
Right.
This whole ego with people getting like that, and they're so, the community turns on each other because, like, if you're into the woo stuff, oh my god, these people, they make us look bad. It's like, hold up there, man. Like, y'all, what? Like, it could be shit. We don't know. First of all, nobody actually knows, and,
Right.
and it's like, we got to come to grips with that we're all in the same boat. The SS
Right.
crazy as fuck.
Right.
That's something we say on here all the time. Is we tell people, remind people that nobody knows for sure. There are no experts on the subject, and anybody claims to be an expert's lying. You know, all we have is theory, and anybody's theory is as good as anybody else's.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just so much infighting because, like, how many people you think around the country? You know, how many people do you think actually look for Bigfoot?
Well, there's probably quite a few.
Let's put a number up. What do you think?
A few thousand, probably.
Yeah.
A few thousand. Okay, so Stacy Brown proposes tonight. Everybody that's listening, y'all hear me out. We all get along and share information.
Yeah, okay.
It's probably never going to happen, but it's a great,
but that's a good
idea.
Yeah,
like,
awesome.
This dude's talking about flat Earth. No, but like, we have a few thousand people around the country.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's a pretty good sized team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or you can break it down into groups of 7, 5, and guys who go by themselves. You look at it. We have not made progress in 60 years.
Mm-mm.
What is wrong with you people? Do y'all actually want to find it? Or how many of y'all are just doing this because you have nothing else to do?
It's a lot of, like, like all these shows that are out, some of them are a little bit crazy, that are on TV, and it's ramped up the community by these shows. People got more into it. Yeah, it's a good thing, but still, you're going to go out there and find something, and like I said, I hate to say it, and people are the cops are going to come flying in. You need a body. I'm sorry. That's the only way you're going to prove it.
Are we still? And that's another thing. Like, are we still upset about that, guys? Like, the thing is, oh well, we don't want to prove them if we gotta kill them.
Right.
Okay, but then you got to quit complaining about everybody else thinking you're nuts. You can't have it
Right.
both ways. You cannot have it both ways. If you want respect, you want people to think, man, he was a front runner in that. He was telling everybody the truth. Real Paul Revere right there.
Mm-hmm.
You got to bring one to the table.
Exactly.
If you just want to leave them out there, you got to still put up with, all these people telling you you're nuts. Your
Right.
spouse looking at you like, oh my God, you're going to hunt a Bigfoot. You know how many people get that?
I get it.
Right. Somebody gets it. I don't have
Get it all the time, man.
My wife used to be that way, but she's kind of getting on board here lately.
Yeah, I couldn't do it. I had to tell mine. I was like, we got together like 6 years ago, and I was like, hey, listen, our first date, we went looking for Bigfoot because that's what I do. Like, this is who I am. You're going to have to live with that.
Yeah, it's hard to find somebody that's into it, man. I'm glad that there is more women out there doing this, that are out there, boots on the ground. Met a couple of them, really cool cool. You know, we had one on Jessica Jones. She's really cool.
Awesome lady.
Yeah. And you know, everybody, like you said, everybody has to share their information, man. Everybody. It's the only way we're going to prove this. You know, I know what I seen. You know what you seen in that thermal video. It scared the shit out of you and your dad, because I watched the video. Your dad hightailed and left you there. He took off. You know, I mean, a full-grown man gets scared like that. He was like, "Peps later." So there is something out there. There's something going on, and like you said, people have to come to terms with it and just, you know, be open about it and be like, "Here, this is what I have. I have DNA. Here, I have a good photo and video of this that can prove it." But no one's going to do that because they want to take the credit for themselves. And, you know,
you can still be credited though. Like, that's the thing. I don't know. I've been messing with the idea of starting some kind of website that people can join in, and they can post their evidence. And people go to review, you know, and log certain things, because you have to learn. It's just, it's so the task is getting everybody to buy into it. Like, hey, for real, y'all, seriously, let's all be a team. Let's start sharing information. We can do meetups from this. You know what I mean? Like, we can do expeditions, and they're not $300 to go on or something
exactly.
like that. You know what I'm saying? So they're like, don't get me wrong, I charge for my Bigfoot hunts too. Like, if somebody wants me to take out just them and their family, yes, I charge you for my time, and it happens. But let's get together for free. You know what I mean? Let's get together and pull our resources, and then, hey, maybe this person knows a biologist, so okay, now we can get samples looked at, because everybody knows somebody.
Right.
This person knows a really badass drone pilot. Maybe this guy's got like a detective friend that will come out and hear reports, or look at our interview, like a spot where you can upload when you get a story, you interview the guy, and then you upload that for everybody to see. You got people looking at it. It's like, yeah, I think he's lying because of this right here. You know what I'm saying? But just a collective. And I don't know that would ever even be a possibility because there's so many egos.
Yeah.
Good point.
Folks, I just shared the link in the chat for Stacy's YouTube channel. Make sure you guys check that out. There's a lot of good videos over there. You know, like and subscribe, and you know, check out some of the videos that he's got over there, and you'll be able to see that thermal image.
Now, I was gone for a minute because I had to take a phone call. Did you guys talk about the Stacy? Did you bring up the hog at all, or no?
No, we were waiting for you for that one. I knew you wanted to talk about that.
Yeah, because that was a little bit. Give me a little, like you did with us in the beginning before we went there. You don't have to tell everything. I know you're leaving it for the documentary.
Oh, about the hog. Okay.
Yes.
I have no idea what you're talking about. It's those like tobacco blends that I smoke. Could make you forget. Anyways, so in my new film, The Skunk Ape Experiments, I won't say what happened, but we decide to, because I go hog hunting, you know, something we have in common there.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah, and so how that happens is we use dogs to go and catch the hog, and then once the dogs have the hog bayed, you go in and you pick up the rear end of the hog, you flip him, and you jump on his throat, and you tie him. Right. This is very dangerous, very exhilarating. Like, you ain't lived, I promise you. Like, try it one time. You just sit there and watch it. Like, it's so fun. You know,
a lot of exercise. Let me tell you.
Oh yeah, hey, you can get, and I've seen guys get messed up, like cut.
Oh yeah, you get gouged. I know.
You know, and so anyways, we catch this hog, and that's how the film starts out. Real tense, you know, like brooding music, and then just this loud squealing and squealing and squealing, you know, and because it's loud and it sounds nuts, like, but so we catch this hog and we put a collar on him. Okay, it's a GPS collar that we built with help from Doug Hycheck, the Monster Quest dude.
Yeah.
And so, hold on, what is that? Oh, that's why my alarm didn't go off this morning. 'Cause I set it for 9:35 p.m. So anyways, yeah, so we catch the hog, we put this collar on him, and we attach the collar with a water-soluble duct tape. So when the hog gets wet, the collar will, fall off, and then we can go and retrieve it. But I'll just say the hog only lived about 20 minutes when we dropped him out. Because we dropped him out in, honestly, the most active neighborhood in the state. I get hundreds of reports, and I promise you, it's not just one person. It's
Right.
the whole neighborhood. Like, we're talking 8, 9 different houses have told me, hey, I didn't know you were into this, but yeah, I just saw it then.
Mm-hmm.
Sending me photos of their animals just like done, dead, snakes that they cut up, being put back together, like in linkage and left in paths that they walk on. Like, learned so much from this neighborhood about the behavior of Sasquatch, right? So we're down there, we're in that area, and we're looking for skunk ape, and that's where we release the hog, and it makes it about 12 minutes. So that's all I'll give away to it, but
Yeah, don't tell. Yeah, don't give the whole thing away. No.
Yeah.
No. What you told me in the beginning, I'm not even going to mention. I was like, damn. But yeah.
There's a whole nother part to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, what?
I think
the goal was to follow the hog, to see where, because he's going to hook up with the other hogs. They're going to pack back up.
Right.
And they'll go off. So we were going to have like a rat inside the pack. So this way we could, all right, it's feed time. The hogs are here. Let's go to that location and Bigfoot off of that. Let's see if we got one coming in. So.
Now we got comments coming in.
Ricky Sanders had a question for you. He says, Stacy, have you seen the "Hey, I just think I saw a skunk ape" video where the alleged subject is tearing into a cypress tree? Does it match the descriptions of skunk apes, or more like northern Sasquatch?
The video I believe he's referring to is coming out of Mississippi, right? So when that video came out, was some of my time as a professional Bigfooter, so I was seriously trying to get that guy to come up. He talked to me twice and then went cold, like just, not talking to me anymore. But it appears to be just like a, normal Bigfoot. The thing I can say about the difference in the animals is like the hair's not as full.
Right.
Or you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And I'm basing that on my own, like, because I've seen one in California as well. And the hair is almost like a man with receding hair, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And out west, it's more like the Jack Link Sasquatch. The Harry and Henderson's a very full coat,
Right.
And I think it's just like a heat issue.
And see, like the one I seen looked more like an Aborigine, and that was H, and very defined muscular with hair on it. But you can,
like, I mean, you know what I mean? It looks almost like the creature on the Boggy Creek Monster film poster. He's
it was
gnarly pose.
Right. It's just
lanky, and that's what the one I saw was. He was lanky.
And it was, you could see the rips. I mean, he was like a beach body, but he was ripped.
Oh, yeah, he still had the muscles, but like,
the one
I saw out there was like a refrigerator, bro. Like, it was, it was a whole completely different, like, mass.
I think it's the food source. The food source and the environment. Like, when Florida, the humidity here will kill you. I mean, kill you. Yeah, walk out mail and you're sweating already. So
you got to be born into it for sure.
Right, and I think it's the areas and the environment that these things have different mass sizes, with their body structure. you know, with the food sources and stuff, you know. I mean, you got hair all over you. Of course you're going to be sweating. Come on.
Right.
You know. And then we got, what else is, okay. I'm looking at the comments, DA. I'm trying to get some comments here. Let's see.
Yeah, we got one from Country Racing 186. He says, Stacy, if that is a Sasquatch are in so many countries and continents, none of the governments are being the first to prove it to the world.
Think about what you just said.
Yeah,
like,
true.
Like seriously. Okay, none of the governments are being the first to prove it to the world. Do they want to prove it to the world?
Mm-mm.
You know what I mean? Think about that. Think about that. None of the governments are actually. Well, I mean, you have some of the governments. You can't say that. There's like Yeti National Park. You know, some countries actually do acknowledge their existence.
Right. It's like
they don't have physical proof, but they still respect the culture in it. You know, and the governments are all okay with that because the governments fund these places.
Well, it's like we talked about. You know, I mean, think about if the government did come out and say these things exist. You know, it would change the way everybody was taught growing up. I mean, the National Forest Parks are, that would drastically affect them. The logging industry, that would affect them. The way we were taught, you know, not to get religious. Everybody calm down. Just phone. You know, I mean, it would just outlook. It's not going to happen. You know that. I know that. I mean, it's not. You same thing with UFOs. They're just coming out right now and telling people, "Hey, we don't know what that is, but our two jets tracked it, and it's not from us." So, I mean, finally, I mean, you know, it's not going to happen.
I mean, yeah, you never know. Like, okay, so let's say the governments do know they exist, right? Or at least some governments. What if it's an actual type of man that we thought was extinct? Hell, there was a report just the other day that scientists are now talking about there may very well still possibly be a race of like 6-inch people living on an island in Indonesia.
I read that article. Dr. Meldrum shared that article too.
Yeah.
Like, hey, the whole world ain't talking about that shit, but right now I'm like sitting here trying to think about how I can get money from somebody to go there and look for them. You know what I mean? Because they just kind of said, hey, there's possibly, you know, that over there. But so let's say it's you know, like a human of some sort. Then they get human rights.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I'm saying there's a whole shitstorm. I don't think nobody wants to stir up there.
No.
We have a whole nother species of human, like that we didn't know about, that's just running out in the woods. How many people are going to be like, oh my God, let's help them? They're having to eat berries and they're having to forage for food. They're having to do all these things. We need to save them.
Right.
You always got to, we need to save them.
You got to, I know.
What's that Ron DeSantis said about them kids? Fuck them kids.
You're right. I mean, it's true though. I mean, people don't want, I mean, you're going to get your buggers that want to go out and save everybody and do all this and, you know, don't do this, don't do that.
You have to listen to it. And then the government's probably going to figure out some way to make those things owe them money. You know what I mean?
Well, they did it with the natives. Come on, man.
They're going to do it with everybody. They're going to find
exactly.
If the government doesn't know, good. But I don't believe that.
I mean, look into Florida. Florida, if you go into their Florida wildlife thing, I mean, I don't know if you know about this, Stacy. It says it at the very bottom. It's very small print. You cannot shoot or kill in the state of Florida.
Where does it say that?
Kerry Arnold found it in the FWC pamphlet, and I'll send it to you. I have a copy of it, and it states it right there at the bottom. I mean, it's in such small print. Mark Zasky fit.
I don't know if that's legit because, like,
no,
honestly,
he said it was.
Like, I met with the head of FWC about killing it. Like, we had he's right here in Tallahassee. I went and met with the guy and discussed it. He told me himself. there are no laws. You can kill 50 of them today if you want to.
Well, if that's what he said, then hey.
And that was in 2016. So I don't know how old that document is, but in 2016, he told me that. And then that's when he told me if it's some kind of man, it's manslaughter.
So if they prove it is a man, well, of course it's got to be some form of man.
Human, some type of human.
You're in deep shit. Yeah, you shoot when you're in deep shit.
But he said, as of now, you can kill 50 of them today if you want to.
Right. What are you in for? I shot a Bigfoot.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, I got to look that up.
This weird stuff going around that people find on the internet at times. You know what I mean? But like,
I don't know if it's true or not.
I own like a dart gun, but I was spending a lot of time trying to kill one. You know what I mean? So I wanted to make sure that we were like all legit and what we could do. You know. So.
And I'm sure you got a lot of hate for that.
I mean, I guess I don't care. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? Like, so what? It's not going to bother me none. You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, what does it even matter? Like, what, you're going to actually spend your time thinking and talking negatively about somebody else because like you're a piece of shit or something? Like, what is your problem? Like, go do you, man. Go worry about yourself. I ain't over here complaining about you're leaving food on the forest floor and talking about here comes the forest friends.
Right.
I don't make fun of that. So I just try not to listen to it because people always hate you no matter what. You know what I'm saying? I learned that real quick after I won that Bigfoot bounty money. Like, I didn't have really nobody that hated me before that. And then that came out, and oh my God.
I see. I didn't even hear about that. I didn't even look into that.
And then another thing, people and so after this, I just kind of quit posting evidence. Like, I got other videos, right? And I got some of my friends have seen the shit, but anyways, like, so there's a spot in Ocala, this lady's horse farm. Had all kinds of activity going on, this, that, and the other. We Bigfooted that area, and then there's an arm shows up. All right, so we go and collect this arm. We've been Bigfooting in this area. Looks like a little arm. And we call the law, make sure it ain't no human.
Right.
They give us, they don't take it. They're like, call FWC. FWC comes out. They bring a biologist out. They tell us that it's some type of primate, like one of these.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And so we don't know. And I put on the internet pictures of it. I'm like, we're in possession of what is possibly a non-human primate arm.
Yeah, we have we have monkeys that run the forest out here, man. But you know about that, Silver Springs.
It turns out we have it checked out. It turns out it was a rear alligator leg, and so like when whatever pulled it off of the gator, extended it, they have a little claw right here on their back foot that looks like a damn thumb. Right. And then so I catch shit for that. Oh, you should have never said anything, blah, blah, blah. You just wanting clicks, blah, 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 blah. Okay, whatever. I have a lot of people that look at my website that like to see what's going on. That's what was going on. You know what I mean? I walked through the process. As soon as I found out, told everybody. And they're like, you should have known that was a gator leg, blah, blah. It's like, bitch, you wouldn't have known what it was.
No.
Nobody on the internet was saying gator. Like, you had people saying Sasquatch, you had people saying all kinds of shit. Nobody said gator.
No, I know, because you're not a trained biologist. Number one. Number two, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing out there, and nobody. You're like, it's like me. I'm going out this weekend, to do some video out in the area in Ocala where I'm at, and if I catch something, I'm even afraid to even say anything. Of course, DA's going to see it. But I'm sure.
on the video that me and my dad have. Yes, I believe it's a Sasquatch, but it don't say it's a Sasquatch. It says possible. A possible Sasquatch film. Anything I put out will say possible. Because to the best of my knowledge, it's a Bigfoot.
Right.
But shit, I can find out in 10 years there was somebody out there pranking us.
Right.
And we just didn't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and that's the way you do it. You can't go and state that something's definitive because then people call you a liar, and like that's what I'm talking about. The whole community is just such a turd bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody wants to drink out of that.
No, man.
Yeah.
I agree with you 100% on that, and we talked about that.
Yeah.
You know, everybody needs to work together and get this resolved, and let people know about it. You know, it's ridiculous, and that's what really gets me. You know, everybody's just so. This is my area. That's your area. Don't come here. I can't tell you where I'm researching. Don't do. Why? You know, why?
Yeah.
It's stupid. But anyway, but yeah, man, your stuff is pretty good, and I can't wait for that other film to come out. Really.
Got a first super chat of the night from William Bedard. He said, "I saw the original Mayaka pics. Tough to fake." Stacy, what's your opinion of the Mayaka skunk ape pictures?
Yeah.
Fake.
You think they're fake?
100%, yeah. There's a dude down there that's got like a it's like a petting zoo.
Right.
Almost something like that. And like you walk through the place and there's an orangutan that's there and it looks just like that thing. And all you'd have to do is really color the hair to it, you know, kind of make some changes a little bit, and there you go, you're all, you know, good to go. But because hardly none of the reports, I mean, you get some reports of that creature. None of the other reports. FWC, meanwhile, actually does go out and catch orangutans. They do get the reports every few years, you know, of one on the loose. Somebody's let one go. These things will thrive out here. So,
Oh yeah, man. I mean, look at the monkeys over here in Ocala. Look at these
I don't
monkeys.
believe the photo's real, though. I think they're fake.
Lanita Bryant gave us a super sticker. Lanita, thank you very much. And William Bedard, thank you for the super chat. You guys are awesome.
Thank you. Yeah,
much appreciated, folks.
Yeah.
There was something I was going to ask you, and it just completely slipped my mind. I completely lost my train of thought. I'm sorry about that. Country Racing 186's DA, I've heard heavy footsteps during the night, Bigfoot expeditions. Do you all experience that as well? Almost sounds like drum strikes. Have you, Stacy, have you heard something like that?
Not like super loud, but you know, I don't know. I mean, definitely footfalls that are like heavy, you know what I mean, but not nothing like a drum strike. Because like when we got the footage, that's what was coming down the ridge. You know what I'm saying? But I think that's just from a weight thing. You know what I mean? I've never heard nothing like that, but I have heard. It's just like a right, and I don't know what it is. Like it's. I think if there's anything to that infrasound, I think that may be what that is. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know because it's just an odd sound for the woods. Maybe that's what he's talking about.
Could be.
I have heard that, and we saw a deer on a thermal one time, and then that happened twice. And the deer was just like, you know, he knew what it was. You know what I'm saying? Like that thing
right.
Well, what it was. But yeah.
Cryptidville wants to know if you have a bucket list location you'd like to research.
Kind of been to all of them right now, you know. Everywhere I've wanted to go, at least. I guess I haven't been to British Columbia, but then again, at the same time, there's massive bears there. So I don't really know that I want to fuck with that. Like,
I agree with you on that one.
I'm built to handle the snakes and the gators. I think I need to stay my ass where I'm good.
Yeah.
Because I don't know nothing about big bears like that.
Mm-mm.
You know, and I'm just to be honest, it's like if you're from big bear country and come down here, you know, you can get hurt real quick.
You know,
You
if
know?
you ever decide to go up that way, I got somebody you can hook up with that way. They'll take you out.
A buddy of mine,
Fred.
James, has been talking to I think it's Ontario Sasquatch guy. His name is Mike Patterson.
Yeah.
If anybody knows him. But
I got a buddy in Alaska, Fred in Alaska that'll help you out if you need help, if you do go up that way. And he's a native. He's native up there.
Yeah, you'd almost have to have like a native, like somebody that can just be like, yo, bro, the wolves are coming.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Somebody that knows it, so you can kind of guide yourself through. Because, like, of course, you're not going to go to the Amazon and not have your dude help you out.
Oh yeah, you definitely want a local guide.
And he knows
situation.
He knows his stuff, and he lived there all his life, born and raised, native descent. But he'll. Great guy, and he's got stories among stories and stuff from all the other.
I guess I want to go on bucket list. You know what I mean? Probably China. Look for the urine.
Mm-hmm.
The Orang Pendak. I'd like to go there. Sumatra. Look for that, and then definitely like Yeti.
Mm-hmm.
Who don't want to go to Yeti? Like go to South
Nepal
or something, Nepal, anywhere like that. But then again, like that, you're dealing with the cold. You got to figure if it gets below 60 degrees where I'm at, I'm looking to get somewhere else. Like I don't do that cold shit. But we just got back from going to Nebraska. We went up old Barry from Res Squatching, Barry Webster. He invited us up, and we went up there, and dude, I like died, man. it was I think 23 or something like that, and we're trying to Bigfoot, and I got 4 pairs of clothes on, and I am still cold, and I didn't have enough socks on. That was the problem. My ankles were cold. That's where it was getting me at, and I'm just like dying on the inside slowly, just thinking about, dude. Your life could have been so much better if you just never got involved in this shit. Because now you're standing here freezing to death. You're dying right now. So
I'm used to the cold. I don't even switch to long like jeans until it drops into the 30s.
Right. Good for you.
I'll wear shorts up until then.
Not me. Sorry. I'm the same way, man. I'm in Florida. My blood thinned out.
I'm used to the winters now.
Dude, we went up on Bigfoot Bounty. They put us in the UP up in Porcupine National Park or something like that. And so it's August when we go up there. Well, August here is like the hottest month.
Oh, yeah.
Right? But it's not the hottest month up there. Matter of fact, it gets down to like 42 at night. And you brought all your clothes are dictating that it's 107 degrees outside. Not 42.
Yeah.
Dude, we laid, like my buddy's leg caught fire. I had to wake him up to put it out because we were just laying right on top of the fire. We also were like, hey, we're just going to sleep on the ground. We're not even carrying a tent. We need to carry gear. So we threw the tents and the sleeping bags out of the picture. Very terrible night. It was like a 36-hour hunt, and we only slept like 2 hours, mainly because it was so damn cold. But fun times.
Yeah, I remember them days.
Well, Stacy, we're coming up at the top of the first hour. I know you said you could only stick with us for an hour, so we're coming up to the top of the hour. I really appreciate you coming on. We're going to keep going for a while, but thank you for coming on. Thank you for sharing your experience.
Yeah, man.
And I shared your channel in the chat, and hopefully everybody go check out your videos. And we really appreciate you coming on, sir. Keep up the good work.
Yeah, bud. I'll hit you up. My movie's about to drop, and we're about to get a release date. So,
let us know. We'll be happy to plug it for you.
Yeah, man.
All right, brother. Y'all have a good evening.
You too, man. Thanks for coming on. He was a really interesting guy.
Oh, he was good.
Yeah, unfortunately, we only had him for about an hour, but I do have a surprise guest that wasn't listed on the show. If you checked out my Nightmare Hunter blog, recently posted an encounter from a law enforcement officer in South Carolina, and he's going to join us and tell his story. And we're also going to grill Anthony about his encounter because he's told us a little bit about it.
No,
but
you're
I
not.
want to know more about your encounter, brother.
No, I can't. Sorry, I plead the fifth. No, you can. Yeah, it's all
A fifth of what?
A fifth of gin. I don't know.
There we go.
Yeah. Yeah, you can. Of course, man. Anything. You know that. You know that. You want to start with me first or no?
Yeah.
Probably
hasn't popped in yet, so we'll go ahead and start with you. And we'll take a quick second to remind everybody that if you haven't done so yet, hit that like and subscribe button, share the video with all your friends that enjoy this kind of content. And if you want to join the YouTube group, the join button is right next to the subscribe button, and that'll get you added benefits within the group and access to exclusive videos.
There you go.
How's it going, man?
Is he on?
Is there. Robbie, can you hear me? I don't think he can hear me.
I still got Stacy on my screen and it's frozen, so I'm waiting for that to go away. So,
Robbie, can you hear me, man?
I just want to give a couple of shout outs real quick. Hey, Fred,
go for it, dude.
Alaska, Jessica, thank you. Uncle John, I don't know what happened to him. He disappeared. I think you blocked him by accident.
I was trying to respond to him, and I think I accidentally blocked him. Oh, we just lost Anthony.
I don't know what happened to him.
I just heard Anthony for a second. Robbie, can you hear me, man? Got another super chat from William Bedard. He says the government won't let you have a body and post it. I think you're probably right about that. I think if you did have a body, it would probably get taken from you and you get told to shut up. We're having some audio issues with Robbie. Give us just a moment and try and clear this up. And hopefully Anthony will get back. I don't know what happened with him. He was talking and then he was gone. Hang on, folks. Let me see if I can help Robbie. I think he's having trouble with his audio setup. Josh Jones says Agent Blue sent a team to get Anthony. Meg Mills likes my background screen. I try to switch those up from time to time. Hopefully we can get this straightened out here in just a second. I apologize, folks. This was kind of a last-minute thing. I invited Robbie on, and he didn't have time to come on and do sound checks before the show started. Uh-oh. There you are. What happened, man? What happened, brother? You were talking and then you were just gone. Anthony, can you hear me?
I got you now. Just everything went black. Went blank.
You were talking and just vanished.
Can
you hear us? I don't think he can hear us yet.
No?
Well, while he's working on it, why don't you go ahead and tell us about your first sighting that really changed everything for you?
It was in West Palm Beach area and Corbin area. It's a management hunting. I was actually hog hunting. I was on a swamp buggy. And
for those who don't know, what's a swamp buggy?
It is a it's a form. It's hard to explain. It's usually they take frames from like trucks, strip it down. You'll have a frame, and then you drop in like.
Go ahead. I can suddenly hear him.
Yeah, you'll drop in. Some guys drop in big blocks into it, and they raise it up. We got, they call military running tires. They're real tall and skinny. Some have the wide ones, but there's a full deck on it, steering wheel in the center, 2 shooting seats, a couple of dog boxes, and it's made to go through the swamp. So if you're in 6-7 feet of water, these things will run through it, and some of them actually float with the tires that they have on them. The tires are so big, and they're actually like a paddle boat. It'll just push you through. But ours had skinny running tires on it. It's called military grade running tires, like you would see on a deuce and a half. But these things were huge, like a giant tractor. And we were hunting hogs, running hogs with the dogs, and we come around the bend and just to stop to eat lunch. And there's this one area that runs alongside the hunting area that's backs up to Pratt Whitney. And Pratt Whitney actually builds military jet engines and other stuff for the military. And you'll hear them test the engines every so often. But there's a 12-foot game fence that runs alongside of it. And in the center, there's a lot of foliage, open area, stuff like that. And I didn't notice this thing standing there until it moved its head. And it was about 150 yards out. And the weird thing is the dogs never hit on it and responded.
Were you downwind or upwind from it?
I can't remember. But how I spotted it was the head moved, and I looked through it through the scope. And that's where, you're in the middle of a hunting area. You got a bunch of good old boys running around with rifles and dogs and stuff. You're not going to run out there in a gorilla suit and stuff like that. It's stupid, not even to play a joke.
Right. Good way to wind up shot.
Yeah, especially out there. And once I looked through it, once I looked at it through the scope, I knew it wasn't a joke. I mean, it looked more Aborigine than it looked. It looked human, but Aborigine. It didn't look like an ape or anything like that. It had long hair, and you could see the defined cuts in its arms, chest, and it just nonchalantly looked at us. My buddy looked at it, turned its head, and walked right into the palmettos like it was nothing. And from where we were, when we pulled up to where it was standing, it was standing next to a telephone pole that they have running out there. They have these lines, and that's where I estimated it could have been. It had to be at least 9 foot to where its hand was, and it was just level with its head. But yeah, it was. I didn't believe in it. Never believed in this subject. I used to laugh at people. I call you crazy, until that happened, and I was like, Did
you smell anything or see any tracks?
No, that's the weird thing. I've been out in that area more than I could count, and never, ever run across tracks. I mean, where we hunted. Now, the weird thing is that a lot of dogs would come up missing. A lot of dogs would come up dead. We would just find tracking collars of some of the dogs. Because once you hunt out there, you have a tight-knit community that you know everybody, running buggies and stuff. If somebody gets stuck, they'll call us on the radio. We'll come out, tell you out. just a lot of weird stuff that would happen that now I put together that makes, sense.
Yeah.
Noises, stuff coming up missing, coolers getting messed with, coolers being opened and stuff like that. And it was just, a raccoon did this, or just, just a lot of, a lot of weird things that would happen. And now it makes a lot of sense to me what it probably was. We had a big, especially that area, man, there's a lot of wildlife, a lot of hogs at the time. I don't know about now. There's panthers. I don't know what everybody's being told about Florida, South Florida. There's more panthers than what they're telling you in the state of Florida, especially FWC.
Yeah.
There's a big population, and a lot of them are being collared. They're being caught, collared, and released. Okay. There was one time I was actually witness to them doing it. And this wasn't out in West Palm Beach. This was in a different area down off Alligator Alley. Well, they came into this one area that I was helping my buddy out, taking people out on hunts that they would pay. And they actually did it. And again, I asked one of the biologists, and he's like, oh, there's more panthers than what we're telling people. And all it is, a panther is a mountain lion. It's the same thing. It just adapted to the swamp. They're a big cat, and they do make noise, and they scream, and it'll scare the hell out of you.
I have heard mountain lions in the wild. They're all over this area. And
yeah,
it's not uncommon to go out in the woods at night and hear it.
No, and then when I moved to Ocala, I wasn't used to seeing monkeys. We do have monkeys in Ocala. They're from Silver Springs area, and it was a big attraction that people would take boat rides on the glass bottom boats, and you see the monkeys hanging out. And there's different stories you'll hear. Oh, they were here when they made the Tarzan films, and they were here. They got loose, and I really don't know the full truth behind it, but they are monkeys here, and anybody can look it up online. It's the truth, and they are a nuisance. They do carry hepatitis. That's why if anybody encounters one, stay away from it. Just by them scratching you, you can get it. But yeah, we have them here, and I didn't expect that when I moved here. Monkeys in Florida. Come on, it's bad enough you got panthers and alligators and bears. I got to deal with monkeys now. And I've never really had a sighting here in Ocala, but hopefully I will, because I'm going out to one area that we talked about that I got from a mutual friend of ours.
Yeah.
I'm right. I'm like 10, 20 minutes away. I'm not far. So I'm going to be heading out there.
Seeing that video.
Yeah. And I'm going to keep doing that and putting out video, and it's going to be on DA's show and everything. And, so I'll have that in check. So I'll do that. But yeah, that's my encounter, man. And that changed me. I went down the rabbit hole on that one. So
it's definitely a paradigm shift.
Yeah, I'm here now with it. So it's a big eye opener, and people don't realize that, they don't exist. Well, I said the same thing, people. Trust me. I used to think people were crazy, just like I see UFOs. I don't say anything to anybody anymore. Nothing. I thought everybody was full of shit. Well, now I'm one of them after I seen it. But yeah.
Well, Robbie, welcome to the show, brother. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks. I appreciate you inviting me.
Hey, Rob.
I had thought about just reading your encounter, but then I got to thinking, well, why not just have him come talk about it? Because you told me it was okay to use your name, so I'm like, hey, y'all just throw the dice and see if he's willing to come on.
Sure. Yeah, you know me. You talk to me enough to know that I ain't scared of nothing. So
at least I'm right there with you. Let them think what they're gonna think.
Exactly.
So let me set this up a little bit. If you guys haven't seen the encounter I posted on the Nightmare Hunter blog, go over there and check that out. But it's Robbie's story in his own words. And what we're going to do tonight is I'm going to have him tell that, because words don't always come to life on paper. You're not gonna get the sense of what it's like for a firsthand encounter. And just like with Anthony's encounter, it affects people. It affects people deeply. And one of the things when I spoke to Robbie when we did the video chat a few days ago, one of the things that struck me was even though this encounter was years ago, I could see by his body language and the look on his face that it still affects him to this day. And those are the kind of things that just really bring that sense of veritas, that sense of a palpable sense of understanding to these stories. Because reading it on paper, you don't see the reactions that people have. You don't understand how deeply this affects people, and that separates the real accounts from the people that are just blowing gas. Because when you can see, like when we had Fred on the show, it was still freaking Fred out years later after that encounter
Mm-hmm.
he had. He was getting the shakes telling us the story. So
Right.
that's the kind of thing we want to bring to the show. We want to bring that sense of being there. It's more than just an encounter written on some website somewhere. This is a real person and their reaction. So having set that up, this story is very visceral and very real, and I hope you guys enjoy it as much as I have. Robbie, take it from there, brother.
Okay, well, like you said, this happened years ago. I think you and I kind of uh, figured out that it was sometime around 81 or so.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and looking at the BFRO, I think that was corroborated a little bit around the same time with the sightings just down the road from this. So I've lived in this area my entire life. I'm 47 years old. My great grandfather owned this whole area around here at one time up until he passed away. I think it was 181 acres at one time. And back then, before progress happened, obviously the main road out here, that's like I was telling you earlier, Da, you could take a nap on the road and not have to worry about a car coming for 30 minutes sometimes. I mean, you didn't see a lot of car traffic out here. So it was during the summer, and this was back when people used to sit on the front porch. You know, the old yellow light bulbs that used to have people sit on the front porch. It was my mother, um, her parents, my two grandparents, and my grandparents' parents, so my great grandparents. They lived in an old farmhouse. It's actually just right across the road from where I live now. Um, it's not in the family anymore. There's very little land around anymore that's in the family, and all the land around here now has kind of been developed. There's houses, trailer parks, all that around here now. So it's not the same type of area it used to was, but back then it was really wild. There was woods. My great grandfather had cows, so the whole back pastures, we called it, was a lot of woods. Uh, Even had a swampy area. It came off of the pond, the little farm pond they used to have. Well, back to the story. Summer night, we were all out at my great grandparents' house. Like I said, my mom, me, my grandparents, my great grandparents. Well, they were all sitting out on the porch, talking, doing whatever they were doing. And I was inside the house watching TV. The only light on in the house was other than the front little yellow light on the front porch, was the light in the living room where actually it was like the den / my great grandmother's bedroom. One of those old 40-watt light bulbs, and it was an open floor plan. There were rooms up front, and then the main part of the house was just a straight shot from one room all the way through. And I was sitting in the den watching TV. The kitchen was to my right beside me, and went on out into a little porch / mudroom area. Well, back then they didn't build houses like they do now, as far as building up or getting bulldozers out to grade the land up. It was just, you stack blocks up and you level the house out however it's supposed to be leveled out. So the back porch was probably about the bottom of the door. I would say would probably be about 6.5 to 5, or 5.5 to 6 feet off the ground. Old block steps that go up the top of the door, and the metal screen door, the very top of it where it came to the house, was probably about 10 and a half, 11 feet off the ground. So it's pretty good, substantial way off the actual ground. And like I said, I was sitting there watching TV. Don't remember exactly what time it was. 8:30, 9 o'clock. It was getting dark. It was the summer, so obviously it got dark later, but it was dark. Whatever I was watching was over. I got up, went to turn the TV off. As I turned the TV off, it was like I was telling DA earlier when I told him the story. It's like I don't know what made me look to the right and look out on that through the kitchen and into that little mudroom area and look out that back door, but I did. And when I looked out, and however long this took in my brain, I don't know. I think I told you, DA, it probably was only like 10 seconds, but it seemed like it lasted 5 minutes or more of me trying to figure out what I was looking at. And, I was kind of cocking my head and trying to look with it and figure out what I was. And it took me a minute to realize that as I was doing this and looking, whatever I was looking at was doing this. And if I would move to the right, it would move to the left and vice versa. But I was doing like, a kid trying to figure out what that was, or, how a dog will cut its head. But this thing was just constantly doing like this. And it's like I told you in the line in your book that just set this back off for me when they were out in the woods and they saw it behind the oak tree. That brought back that whole rush and that whole flood of that memory of that thing standing there at that door doing that. So when it snapped in my head that, okay, this is something looking back at me, then that it was nothing but sheer terror. Like I said, I was probably 8.5, 9 at the most. And, even in my mind at that age, I was thinking, okay, I know how high that bottom of that door is off the ground, and the thing's head was up at the top of the screen door. It was about maybe a foot below the top of that screen door. So this thing had to be at least 10 feet, give or take. Well, my stepdad was a deputy sheriff for the sheriff's office. Back then, no cell phones, no pagers, no nothing like that. I go busting out the door, bawling at this point. And, my mom's like, "What is wrong with you?" I said, "I saw a monster." I think that's what I said. "I saw something out the back on the back porch. I need Daddy here now. I need him here now. If I can't get Dad, get Uncle Brian down here." Well, they obviously knew something scared me. Of course, they thought I'd seen something on TV or thought I saw a reflection, whatever. So, like I said, my stepdad was on the road at the sheriff's office. He worked second shift. So all they could do at that time was call the dispatch and, have dispatch call him on the radio. Then he still had to drive to a phone. So long story short, my uncle came down. My uncle's not a small guy. He's 6'5", probably closer to 6'6" at that time. Probably around 400 pounds. Big guy. Well, he goes out and stands on the back porch after he gets down there to show me that I had seen something that was just a reflection or whatever. And when my uncle stood in the door, he was standing on the top steps, and he was just barely in the middle of that glass above the bottom of the door. So this thing was, a good 2 feet or more taller than him, at least. And I kept telling him, no, it was bigger than that. It was way bigger than that. It was bigger than you, Uncle Brian. And my dad, the next day, I think they all went out there and looked. They never could find anything, but it, summertime, it was hadn't been a lot of rain, so there was no footprints or no any kind of evidence like that. And when you asked me about if I'd smelled anything, if I did, I do not remember it because, like I said, I was in the house and it was probably a good 12 feet away from me. But it was looking through the door at me and it was following me with its eyes.
12 feet is close.
Yeah, it's closer than I wanted to be. Let's put it that way. At 9
I
years
would
old,
agree.
it's a lot closer than I wanted to be.
It's closer than I want to be now.
Yeah.
So,
Something that big, 9 feet's just snatching distance.
Yeah. And like we talked about, if I believe if it wanted to come in that house and get me, it probably would not have had any trouble at all doing that.
The one of the things that struck me is how many accounts I've heard where they Bigfoot type creatures do watch children. So it was probably they're very interested in just you.
That's the scary part about it is, because they were all out on the front porch talking. They were probably, back porch is here, front porch was here. I mean, it was, if it had wanted somebody, it could have walked around and got any of them easy. But it was looking at me. It didn't go around there and pay them any attention at all.
Now, at other times, you said you've lived in that area your whole life. Have you ever heard any odd sounds coming from the woods at night, especially down in river bottoms?
Yeah, I mean, obviously at the time, before internet and before all these TV shows, you didn't know what you were hearing. But,
Right.
I would probably just about bet a paycheck on I've heard some whoops and hollers and things like that at that time, but just didn't know what you were hearing.
Right.
Until you hear it now, when you can actually hear, oh, these are some of the vocalizations. You're like, oh, wait a minute, I've heard that. But back then, you didn't know what you were hearing.
What about now? Now that you're
now,
grown?
You're lucky if you even hear a coyote now, because there's so many houses around here now. Like I said, it used to be some deep woods around this area, but now there's so many houses and trailer parks that have moved in around here. Yeah, the thickest woods, unfortunately, is what's in between my mom and dad's house, which is at the top of my driveway, and my house now, and just because we've let it grow up in between there.
Yeah. Are there any? I know the BFRO has sightings in that same county, in that same area, just a mile or so from you, in that same time frame. Other people, making accounts and posting, and I read those accounts, and some of those are pretty creepy. So you to me, that just completely corroborates what you saw, because there were other people seeing it in that area at that same time.
Yeah. And like you said, that there was no way to access those records back then.
Right.
So seeing them now, when people are coming forward and say,
Robbie, what county are you in?
Pickens County.
Okay, my mom and dad had a cabin up in, I don't know if you're familiar with, you're in North Carolina, right?
South Carolina.
South Carolina.
I'm familiar with some North Carolina areas.
Okay, so they had a cabin up in Bakersville.
Yep, I've never been there, but I've heard of it.
Yeah, up in the mountains, it was way up there. Yeah, I've been up there plenty of times. Never had an encounter, never heard anything up that way either, but yeah.
Well, and my grandparents on my real dad's side, they used to have a cabin out some lake up above Pickens County. I don't remember exactly where it was, but that was one of the places that, if thinking back now, if I would have ever thought that I would have had an encounter versus having it sitting in my right out my great grandparents' door, that would have been the place that I would have thought that I would have had something, because that was some deep, scary woods there.
Yeah.
But I do know that my real dad has told me that since he and I have had this talk, he said that he had heard stories of people hearing things that they didn't know what they were hearing up there at night. So, but that was pretty close to North Carolina. North Carolina line.
Yeah, I was just sent something to the DA last night about, and we're not going to get in, probably for another show, but they're called feral people. I don't know if you guys have a big, if anybody talks about that up by you, but, they believe that's what a lot of the sightings are, these people running around in the woods with no clothes on, that are just adapted to being feral out in the woods.
Yeah, just wild people, basically. It's nothing other than people who have just gotten rid of society. Yeah, I've heard those. I don't personally believe that. I think it is what it is, but I have heard that theory.
Right, and I believe that too. I'm sure there is, but still, how can you miscount a 10-foot being from a guy that's 5'5"? Come on.
Yeah. Nathaniel De Leon Vallejo says, morbid as this sounds, could this have been a predatory inquisition? Harry was hungry type situation? It could have been. Look how many of the missing 411 stories involve children.
Yeah. I wasn't as big as I was as I am now back then, though. So I would have just been a little snack for him. Then.
Now, is there a lot of cave systems up by you?
Up around Joe Cassie,
Okay.
that area, the place that I was telling you about in the other things. Yeah, there's probably some up that way. Right where I'm at, we're kind of like Pickens is called the gem of the foothills, so we're just like right at the start where the
Okay.
mountains start. So
Right.
if there is, not that I know of, but
Right.
I'm sure there probably are some somewhere.
Yeah, I've noticed that up in Carolina going up to the cabin. There's tons of caves and caverns and stuff up in that area. So
One thing about a lot of Bigfoot sightings, they seem to be very close to bodies of water.
mhm.
And with you having that swampy area and undoubtedly water troughs for your cattle,
Yep.
uh,
Well,
yeah,
the little farm pond was right behind the house, so
was
Yeah,
it spring fed?
yes, it was.
So you got clean water year round.
Hmm.
So that would very
Yeah.
easily explain why they were in that area. One thing I wanted to ask you about your encounter. I know you said it was close, but and I know it scared the hell out of you because who wouldn't? I mean, it would scare the hell out of me. But do you feel like it meant you harm?
I've thought about that a lot, and honestly, no, I don't. I mean, like I said, it did. It scared the hell out of me. But, and as a kid, I probably would have answered that question a whole lot different than I do now. Now,
Yeah.
law enforcement mind, knowing the things that you and I know. If it had wanted to, it could have. So I have to say, like we say, you go where the evidence takes you,
Mhm.
Right.
and it didn't do anything except watch me. So no, I don't think it intended to.
Mhm.
I think it was just curious because
I would.
honestly, if it wanted to hurt any of us that night, my mom, me, my grandparents, my great grandparents, it wouldn't have been hard for it to. I mean, we're all right there. Everybody was oblivious except me. You know, so no, I don't think it meant it. I think it was just curious.
Hmm.
Yeah, I definitely think it was just curious, at least from my perspective, from talking to you, because I know those old screen doors. It was the same ones that was on my grandmother's house. Those old
Mm-hmm.
wooden frame with
Yeah.
just screen in them with the little spring on them. When you open it, it pull it back shut. Something that big could have smashed that to kindling without any. Hell, I could have smashed one to kindling,
Right.
and I'm not
Yep.
I'm not 9 feet tall and 800 pounds. So if it had wanted in, it'd have got in. Tooth Aching asks, are there any cases of missing children in that area?
Yeah, we actually have. Not like in a big city type thing, but
Mhm.
we have had cases of missing children.
Really.
Yeah.
Let me. Your law enforcement in the area that this happened. It was actually happened in North
I police
Carolina.
about 7 miles from where I live.
Well, there was a case that happened in North Carolina a few years back, and since you're law enforcement in that area, I want to kind of pick your brain because that type of terrain much better than I do. I've driven through it, but I haven't really done any hunting in that area. Remember a few years back, a kid went missing and he was gone for 3 days. And when they found the kid, he said a bear had been taking care of him for 3 days.
Yeah, I seem like I do remember something about that.
Yeah.
I don't remember all the ins and outs of it, but I do remember somebody saying something or I read something about it.
Yeah, they found the kid. It was in wintertime too. It was like February.
Mhm.
They found the kid. He was fine and said he had been, bear had kept him warm and stayed with him for 3 days. That's not typical bear behavior,
No.
No,
especially in the wintertime when food's scarce.
no, that's not. I mean, and all we have around here are black bears, and
Yeah.
black bears really, when you break down the numbers, they typically tend to attack people quicker than grizzlies, Kodiaks, things like that, just because they're so. That's like I said, not typical bear behavior.
Yeah, that's something that had struck me as odd when I first heard that encounter story. It made national news that this kid, he was found, and his story was that a bear had taken care of him. And even at the time, I'm like, that doesn't sound like any bear I've ever heard of.
Right. Oh, Nana boy, she's on. Nana boss. Hey, Nana, she's on. Wanted to say
Awesome.
hi. Oh, William Nighthawk, he's on.
There we go.
Bigfoot
William
Aaron's on.
Nighthawk says missing kids, missing kids, children. Don't forget the native legends of little people. That's true.
Mhm.
There's a lot of native legends, but there's also a lot of native legends that surround Bigfoot carrying off children, women, sometimes men, coming into the villages at night, especially in winter, and carrying people off.
Yeah, I've got Cherokee in my on my real dad's side, and my great grandmother was half Cherokee, and I remember her telling stories about. I don't know if it was actually big, but she just talked about kids getting carried off and things
Mhm.
like that. It was stuff that she'd heard when she was a kid.
Right.
But
Well, it goes back years and years. They say even when
Mhm.
you speak some of these elders, they tell stories from hundreds of years ago that this stuff's been going on.
yeah,
So,
and it, that's what like go with the evidence station. There's no way that if you look at something that happens repeatedly
mhm.
on so many different continents, so many different states, so many different just, and it's all the same. It can only happen so many times before you have to say, okay, yeah, there is something to this. You
Right.
know, one or two times in an isolated area, okay, maybe you can say it's a hoax, but
There's a good question from Mark Napier. He says, "Were there any trash cans near that door?"
Right.
no, there were not any trash cans, but like I said, they had an old smokehouse that was just right back past where it would have come from, and that's where they kept the dog food and the fish. Like I said, they had a farm pond, so my great grandpa used to feed the catfish. So
There
there
you
was
go.
stuff like that in there. Um, had chickens, had cows. I don't think he had any hogs at that time, but
Did you guys ever have any animals go missing?
I'm sure he probably had chickens go missing, but he had so many, he probably didn't. Um,
Realize it.
yeah, and I had some dogs that mysteriously died but never went missing. That we just couldn't
Right.
explain what happened to them. Uh, so yeah, and it was during those times and around that time. So who knows?
Do you recall any stories from the area of farm animals like cattle or any other animals being attacked and mutilated?
Nothing that I can put my finger on right off the. I mean, I'm sure there probably was, but there probably wasn't a lot of people that would say what they would probably, is standard old thing, wolves, coyotes, things like that. But I don't think of anything that I can, or I don't remember anything. And we've got a lot of cattle farms around here. Um, there's two big ones right up off 183, which is just down, actually right around where that BFRO sighting was.
Hmm.
Yeah, there are a lot of sightings in South Carolina. If you just go to the BFRO and look just specifically at South Carolina, there's a lot.
Yeah, I wouldn't say we're one of the big hot spots like you hear, like like your Oregons and places like that, Washington. But I, from what I've looked at, it's there's a substantial amount, like you said.
Yeah, it's a lot of people like in the comments that like what DA writes about. It's called the Gugway. They
Mhm.
do that kind of stuff. There's different different species of them. Um, I'm looking at the comments right now. A lot of people comment on that, but um, they're more, I guess, more intense. So
Yeah.
you know,
Well, the Gugway are it's kind of like I liken it to bears. With
right,
bears, the farther north you get, the more reliant they are on meat for protein, and you get into these bigger, aggressive ones, and I think they eat a heck of a lot more meat. And I don't think the two-legged long pork is off the menu.
yeah, true.
Yeah, and I like I told you, I think that's honestly a very good point that people is maybe not in different species, but like you said, just more like environment.
Right. Right.
Well, it's also time of year. I mean, I had an encounter up in Rocky Mountain National where I came almost nose to nose with a grizzly bear, and had that been right at hibernation time, I might have been a missing 411 case.
Yep.
But we
Yeah.
just kind of looked at each other and went our own ways. But if it had cubs with it and I got too close, I mean, I literally got within feet of it. Yeah, I mean, I could have reached out and do like I do to my dog Harley. He'll look at me and I'll reach out and go boop and hit him on the nose. I could have done that to that bear. I probably would have drawn
Yeah.
back a bloody stump, but I could have done it.
Yeah, well, it's what Robbie said. Like, black bears will attack humans. We have them here in Florida also. If there's cubs with them, do not get in between a black bear with a mother black bear. They'll charge you. They're people think, oh, they only eat berries and roots and they're not carnivores. Baloney. I mean, I've seen a black bear drag off a dead pig.
Oh yeah.
So, I mean,
and they're tough too. I worked a wreck not long ago. Well, I say not long ago. It's probably about a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago. Black bear ran out in front of a Ford Mustang. Mustang got pulled off on a wrecker, and the bear walked off in the woods and was fine.
Yeah, my cousin, man, he was on duty. My cousin was a sheriff. Well, retired. He was a sheriff out here, and he was out in Fort McCoy area out here in Ocala. Desolate area. He was driving an SUV on patrol, hit a black bear, destroyed the SUV. Black bear got up and walked away.
Yep,
twice happened to him twice. So,
I saw a video recently of a grizzly bear dragging a full-grown moose.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, I know they're tough. The black bears are tough. Even people don't realize it. Oh, they're a little black bear. They're not going to buck you. Okay. Try to, go and confront a black bear with cubs. Watch what happens. Not good.
Yeah. Let me know how that one comes out for you.
Exactly. Oh, what do we got here?
My brother was a deputy sheriff out in Washington State. He retired a few years back. He's quite a bit older than me. But he said that there probably wasn't a week went by that they didn't get at least a couple Bigfoot sighting reports that called into the sheriff's department. You guys ever get anything like that?
Well, not in the city. I'm sure the county probably has stuff like that. A lot of it probably gets shuffled off as in what our call just a prowler.
Yeah.
And I've had plenty or more than my share of prowler calls that who knows if it's a person or that. Yeah, and especially earlier in my career when everything was not as heavily populated as it is now.
Mm-hmm.
So to say that I've gotten Bigfoot calls versus prowler calls, I mean, who knows which ones they were.
Right.
Because most people are just going to say, "Oh, it's a prowler." Just they're not going to say, "Hey, I got a Bigfoot in my yard."
Right.
For like we talked about, you don't want
to think it crazy, right?
Yeah, exactly. No, the police are not going to come out there if I tell them.
Yeah. That's happening to somebody I know right now. He's having a lot of issues at his house, and every time he calls up the sheriff's department, they're like, "Oh, here we go again." But I mean, he's got proof. That's the whole thing. They think he's, half. I mean, I was on the phone with him. I heard this thing running up and down the roof and smacking the house, and there's more than one. There's like 5 of them, and it's harassing the hell out of them. And every time the cops come, they're like, "Okay." Sometimes they don't even show up.
There are towns in southeastern Oklahoma that they have trouble all the time of them coming into town and raiding trash cans.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not something they advertise.
Well, are they not still listed in the what was it, the Army Corps of Engineers? Didn't they have them listed?
Yeah. And the Ohio Department of Natural Resources just released a series of videos on what to do if you encounter one. And when I
Right.
first heard they were releasing them, I thought they were going to be, a joke. No, you can go to the Ohio DNR website or look it up on YouTube, and they're legit videos. I mean, they're
Right.
pretty serious. So Ohio's taking it seriously if no one else is.
Yeah,
Well,
they had.
they've the grass man for stories forever. So
Well, that one family out there that was getting harassed. How many cops showed up to the house and they witnessed it? There was like 6-7 cops that showed up to the house. I mean, this house was getting pummeled with rocks, and they could see this thing standing on the ridgeline. It was more than one, and all these cops swore to it. They were like, "Hey, we seen it."
well, I think that's the only legit video that they've used in Mountain Monsters was that video of the grass man where you see it walking across
Right.
into the or behind or coming out from behind or going behind that little shed.
That's the house. That's the one that was getting harassed.
That is, yes.
Yeah, that's where the cops.
Mountain Monsters is good for entertainment value, but I wouldn't take it seriously.
No.
Yeah, but that's the one.
Video itself, I think, was probably one of the only legit videos, and that was in season 1. So
yeah. I mean, come on. I mean, if we all got together, I'm sure that we could get Doug Hychek to produce a show for us. We'd be rich too.
Heck yeah, that would be awesome. So
we
Doug,
could
if
go
you're
out
listening, let's
there you go. You got 3 candidates right here.
Let's do a cryptid hunter show.
yeah.
Hell, I'll act like a fool for $1 million.
So I'll be Huckleberry, carry myself on.
I think it'd be a hoot and a half. We should totally do that.
Yeah. I'll drive a brand new F-150 like all those other guys are on the show doing. Come on.
No kidding.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty nice.
Yeah, that's fun.
I know the other day, Robbie, when you and I were talking on the phone, we kind of talked about some of the other stuff in the area too. There's a lot of weird crap comes out of South Carolina, and if you dig, you can find weird stuff in pretty much every state. I mean, I'm still getting surprised by stuff in Missouri. I thought I knew my local lore pretty well, but I'm still learning stuff.
Yeah, well, actually, a buddy of mine told me a story about it's just right down the road in Easley. I haven't been able to find anything online about it, but he told me a story years ago. Matter of fact, I told him my story, and he was telling me about this. And he lived in Easley, and they called it the unknown. Like I said, never been able to find anything about it. I'm thinking it was more of a dogman type thing than it was Bigfoot. But he said they were out riding their motorcycles one night, and this is around Fruit Mountain Road in Easley, which is part of it's in the city, part of it's in the county. Well, one of them had some bike trouble. It was one of those nights where the thunderstorm was not where they were at yet, but you could see the lightning and hear the thunder, and you feel everything coming. So they stopped on Highway 93, and Fruit Mountain Road was right beside, kind of ran parallel and ran down and ran into Highway 93. But it went way up a mountain. And I've talked to some other people who have said they've heard about weird stuff up there, but not this particular thing, but they've heard some weird stuff up there, more like paranormal type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, my buddy said that they heard something, and they turned around and looked up top of the little ridge line, and as they looked up, the lightning flashed, and they saw something standing up there, dark figure, don't know what it was. But then everything went dark, and then when the lightning flashed again, it was down in the middle of the gorge, headed towards them. He said they left the boy's bike that was messed up, jumped on the back of somebody's bike, and they took off because they didn't want to know where it was by the time the light flashed. And they started calling it the unknown.
Well, I wouldn't mind going up in that area and getting some videos done. That would be cool.
Yeah. Well, when you come down, we'll get together because that's not far from my house either.
Awesome.
Mark said he would join us. So,
yeah.
All right, Mark, you're in. We'll get with Doug later on. I'll pick his brain. He might not like me after that, but I'll pick his brain. Don't worry about it. Let's see. Who's else? Any other comments or
I was looking to
questions?
see if we had any questions pop up. Um, the encounter on your land, you said you had about 180 acres,
Yeah, one time there was about 180 acres around here that was family land.
and you
Okay.
said that your grandfather. This is when you and I were talking before. No, you hadn't said this on the show. Your grandfather would move the cattle from the back pasture to the front pasture.
Yeah, my great
You think
grandfather.
he was worried something was going to take his cattle?
He would. That was what he always said. He had a dog named Ben, and during the day he would leave the cows out in the back pasture before like an hour or so before dark. Never failed. Now, what it was, I don't know because he never told me, but never failed. An hour or so before dark, he would open that gate and he would send Ben. He'd say, "Go get them," and that dog would go get the cows and bring them back in the front pasture before dark, without fail. And I told you they went looking in that swamp for bear claws or bear scratches or whatever on the trees. But that was after my sighting too.
Yeah.
That they went looking for that. So, I don't know if they knew something they didn't want to.
I think they took your sighting more seriously than you think they did.
Then they let me know.
Yeah.
They probably did.
Now let me ask you, hey, Robbie, do you hunt at all?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Have you? I'm sure you hunt on family property still, right?
Well, no, we don't have any more to hunt on. I have to either go to a friend's club or jump on game management.
Yeah, same with me. Nothing out of the ordinary being out hunting. I haven't hunted in years after my encounter. That's why I'm asking. So
there was one time and I was down in Greenwood, and I just bought this tree lounge. The tree lounge stands.
Right.
Worst creation ever for a hunter because they're way too comfortable and you don't get any hunting done. You get a lot
You
of sleep.
nod right out. Yeah, you nod right out, man.
So we went down there and my buddy told me, he said, "All right, go down here and just find you a good tree and I'm gonna be back up here on the other side and Dad's down here on this side, so you got this whole area in front of you to shoot." I'm like, "Okay." So I get down there and I get up, probably it's dark, so I don't at the time don't know how high up in the tree I am. Once it started clearing up, I could tell I was probably about 20, 25 feet up. So I'm sitting there and of course nodding off, and how long I was asleep, I don't know, because I never looked at my watch to verify any of this stuff. But I just had this feeling that something was watching me, and I needed to wake up.
Mm-hmm.
It was a dream because I woke up. I didn't see anything. It was daylight. Didn't see anything, but there wasn't a whole lot of activity that I remember. Wasn't a whole lot of chirping and squirrels chattering or anything like that. But I never saw anything, never heard anything. It was just one of those weird, eerie feelings.
Right.
That could be, could not be. But
yeah, it's going to take a lot for me to go back out. Like me and DA, we were talking before the show. I need to go out. I'm going to, with the 458 SOCOM. Sorry. I'm not going out with anything smaller than that to piss it off.
Hey, I told you that's what I'm building one.
Yeah.
They say the 458's only good out to about 200 meters. Well, I wear bifocals, so I don't need anything more than that. My days of 1,000-yard shooting are over.
Right. And a 458 is equivalent to a 4570 round.
Yep.
And it's just in an AR platform, but they also make a 4570 in an AR platform now too. But it's also $5,000. It's $5,000.
Yeah, I'll stick with building mine.
Exactly. That's what I'm doing.
It's a lever action 4570.
They're expensive too, DA.
Yeah,
$1,200, $1,500. They're not as expensive as you think.
Cheapest one like $900 something.
Yeah, yeah. I'd rather have an AR platform with rapid fire on it, than lever. Sorry, just me. Couple extra.
I can put a lot of lead down range with a lever action.
Yeah,
I've done it.
It's pretty, for me to go out we used to go out. My bolt action. I had a bolt action 308. And I've shot hogs with the 308 and seen these hogs get up and run. Just run. And people are like, no way. Yeah, way. When you shoot something, especially the adrenaline, and there's plenty of times I've shot deer with the 308 and dropped them right there. Just it's shot placement. That's what it is. You don't want to go out hunting and you got a 22 long rifle, which is illegal anyway. But God forbid, like we talked about, I only go out to protect myself. I don't go out looking for it to kill it or antagonize it. You hear all these stories. These guys, well, I didn't have my rifle with me and the thing charged me. Well, you take a knee. If you got a rifle with a 458 and this thing's charging you, I'm taking a knee and putting a red dot on it. I'm sorry, people. You can hate me all you want. But like I told DA, I'm not going to be a 411 case missing. Ain't going to happen.
I'm not looking to go out and shoot one, but I will defend myself and my family.
Right.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I wouldn't be going out looking to shoot one, but I'm also not going to go out not being able to if I need to.
Exactly.
That's a fact.
You hear all these stories about these hunters that are out there, and they, I've had my rifle on it, scope on it. It looks so human. When you look at it, it changes your whole mindset, and it's like what they said. If it is part human, which I believe it is, that's manslaughter. You're gonna go to prison.
Well, like with the missing 411, the hunters, when all those hunters have gone missing, I've heard so many accounts like yours, Anthony, where they put a rifle scope on one and just didn't take the shot. And I'm wondering if some of the missing 411 hunters are guys that took the shot.
Yep,
could be.
We found the guns wrapped around the tree.
Yeah.
Right. They find all the guy's gear. They find the guy's gear, and everybody and the guy's missing. Who's going to leave his rifle in his backpack and walk off? Not me. So something's going on. And even you, Robbie, being a police officer, you're still a police officer up in that area. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay. So you also have I don't know what you carry in your patrol car or truck. I'm sure you have a long rifle you carry.
Well, yeah, we're in the middle of changing over, but yes, normally we do.
Okay.
But
same thing here in Florida. Same, the deputies at the, same thing they carry. But still, you run across something like this. What's not to say you go to a call and this thing's attacking a house? What do you do?
Yeah.
You pull up on it and you're like, okay, how am I going to call this in? I'm either going to have to kill it to show them that I'm not crazy, and they put me on administrative leave on a desk. It's like what you said. I hate to say it, people, but they're going to need you're going to need a body to prove, this thing does exist. You can have pictures all day long. You can have 4K film. You got to have a body.
On the age of Photoshop and video shop, I don't think you're ever going to have the smoking gun proof with any kind of video because it's just too easy to fake stuff like that. I mean, we've all seen hoaxed videos that at one point in time we're all like, that looks super real, and then it turns out it was a hoax.
Well, I mean, just look at your street performers like David Blaine and
right
Angel. I mean, they make themselves look like they're floating off the top of the Luxor in Las Vegas.
Right.
I mean, it's not hard to do that kind of stuff now.
Right, and it's even with the what was it that they look at the mountain gorillas. I mean, people talked about mountain gorillas even before they were even discovered, and they thought they were crazy.
Yeah, they were like 1953.
Right, right. I mean, look at the billy ape, a form of ape of a chimpanzee that kills lions and eats them.
Yeah, they're highly aggressive and primarily walk on two legs.
Same thing with pandas. I mean, pandas were not mainstream discovered till the modern era either. I mean,
people need to
call crazy for these huge black and white bears that survived on bamboo. What are you talking about?
Exactly. People are going to think you're crazy, and all the accounts of the Native American people in their history, going way back. Why are the Native Americans from California area and Oregon have the same encounters here in South Florida, the Miccosukee and Seminole? It's the same creature. You're talking thousands of miles apart. What did they do? Set up smoke signals to communicate? Come on.
Yeah.
I mean, so there's something out there. People don't realize it, and they don't want to believe it. And like you said, mainstream science is not going to admit it unless, like at least, like DA even mentioned it. They're going to need a body. Same thing what he said about the mountain gorillas when it was first discovered. Oh, that doesn't exist, and then he does the imitation of the guy, and then I just
British Museum.
Yeah. He discovered
the old British Museum. The old stuffy old guys sit behind their desk, and they're like telling them about mountain source. And they're like, "Oh no, that couldn't possibly exist." And then they drop a mountain gorilla body on their dress, like, "Oh yes, I saw it first. I get to name it."
Yeah.
Knew it all along.
And I hate to say it, and that's what it's going to take. Is the mainstream media ready for that? Is the people? Who knows,
the
man?
trick, though. If you bag one and bring it in, are they going to let you keep it?
That's the whole thing.
Or is somebody going to show up and take it from you and say, "You talk about this, and bad things are going to happen"?
You can't dig up a piece of gold on your own property and and expect the government to let you keep it, much less something like that. The scientific find of the century.
Right. And that'll change everybody. I mean, that'll change history, man.
Yeah.
Like we talked about. Like, look where, North Carolina, South Carolina. When I was up the cabin, man, all the forest, all the logging that was going on, that would totally impact the logging industry, like we talked about.
Oh, yeah.
And if they are a former human, they're going to have rights. There goes the park industry and camping. Don't go here, don't go there. This is their area. Don't feed the Bigfoot. Like it says, don't feed the bears. Same thing. It's going to affect everybody. And I don't think the government's ready for that. I don't think anybody's ready for that. It's going to be a no-win situation no matter what you do.
Yeah, you would have to have a plan in place before you even move the body, and I would quarter it out, take the head separately, put one piece on ice somewhere that nobody knows where it's at, just in case the rest of it vanishes. So you still got something with DNA to prove it. I'd probably keep the head.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a shitty situation, man. If you look at it all the way around, I mean, the government doesn't want to acknowledge it. Of course, come on. All these stories coming out that are on YouTube and everything of these special ops units going in and hunting these things down. How true is that? When you got guys coming on that used to be former special ops that are giving interviews and they're legit and they're back and they check their background, why would they lie about this?
And why would they even risk their security clearance for coming forward?
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously the government does know about it, and obviously they're trying to, put a stop to it or watch these things. It's. Will I ever see it in my lifetime? Probably not. Will DA? No. Will you, Robbie? Probably not.
Probably not.
So it's.
And I don't advocate going out to shoot one. I have no intention of trying to be the guy to prove they exist. I know they exist, and nobody's going to convince me otherwise. I mean, Robbie and Anthony, they both have seen it and know it exists, and nobody's ever going to be able to say you didn't see what you saw.
Right.
It's never going to change their mind. So for us, the mystery is already solved.
Yeah.
And much like with my books, people either like them or they don't. And you can't please everybody. You can't prove anything to people that refuse to believe it. So no amount of proof up to, but probably including a body, is ever going to change the minds of people that just refuse to believe it. So for those of us that have had encounters, for those of us that have had sightings, nothing is going to change if a body's brought forward. And it's only the non-believers, and we all know that you could find a perfect DNA sample, and they're gonna sway the results. They're like, oh, it was a bear.
Yep.
Yeah. And supposedly
So,
they have DNA, and
whoever,
nobody wants
whoever
to even
tries to
get to that.
prove the existence, even if they've got a body, has got their work cut out for them. And I do
Mhm.
not want to be that guy. I don't have any
Mhm.
desire to be that guy. I like coming on and talking to people that have had encounters. I like bringing these stories to you guys, but we're not going to try to prove the existence because those of you that are here because you believe in this subject. People
Mhm.
that wouldn't be interested in this show. So for us, no proof is needed, and for everyone else, no proof will do, short of someone parading a body.
Well, and I think you said it in Lakeview, man. The way at the end of it, like Clark said, I have no desire to be the one to try to bring this to light because
Right.
you know people are going to call you crazy, like we
Mhm.
said. They're going to try to make you look stupid and crazy. He doctored this and this. Why? I don't care if 100 people believe me, 1,000 people believe me, or 2,000 people don't believe. I don't care. Like you said, I know what I saw, and that's the only one that I've got to prove it to.
Right.
I mean, it is what it is.
Busy A's got a point. Says they, quote unquote, they will ruin your life if you had a body and tried to go public.
I
True.
They
agree.
would probably do everything they could to.
True.
Um, Now, we
I
are
believe
starting to
that.
see some government agencies like the Ohio Department of Natural Resources starting to come forward with little bits of data, little bits of information, and that gives the subject a little bit more credibility. But much like how the government has been declassifying UFO reports over the last few years, I think little by little we're going to start seeing more and more of this until at one point the government is like, oh, yeah, and we've been telling you for years they exist. You just weren't listening.
Yeah, it's true. They know it's out there. I mean, come on. Mount St. Helens from the eruption. You got guys coming forward about that. You know.
Cryptidville says either that or you'll end up taking a dirt nap. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, our government has a long history of shutting people up.
Yep.
Hmm.
You can shut up the easy way or the hard way.
Hate to say that, but it's the truth. It is the truth. Oh boy.
Everything all right, Anthony?
Oh yeah. Yeah. My phone's just going crazy. You know how it goes with
Oh, yeah.
everybody on chat, and then who wants to talk. So yeah. I'm trying to get. I guess John can't. I don't know if John can get in or not, but he's like, "Hey, he
He's not
blocked
on
me."
the
I'm like,
block list. I
"I
checked it. I
know."
checked the block list. He's not on it. And if
I
I did, it
texted him
is
and told him.
totally accidentally.
I texted him. I told him he's sitting inside. I said, "Hey, you're unblocked." So
Werewolf
I,
5674 is catching up. Has caught that reference. I made a reference to the movie, the movie Shooter, just kind of subtly. He says, "I still have the shovel."
yeah,
That scene on Shooter's like, yeah, the guys that shot were on the grassy knoll were dead and buried in the desert out past Terra-Lingua within 3 hours. He says, "You know this for sure." He's like, "I still got the shovel."
yeah.
Yep.
I remember that. Yeah,
Great
that's.
movie.
Great movie.
Well, I'm surprised he's not talking. He's not talking about his ex. What happened?
Well, he did earlier. He mentioned something earlier
Oh,
about
I
his
didn't
ex.
see it. I'm sorry.
Nathaniel De Leon Vallejo says, submitted an encounter I had as a child, have others, but submitted that one. If you sent that to my email, I will check that after the show and email you back. But if you've got others, I would definitely love to hear them. We can profile them on my Nightmare Hunter blog. And if we'll take a look at the stories and maybe we'll even talk about them on here.
Hmm.
Tony here says you'll come down with a sudden case of bad brake syndrome on your vehicle.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
This is a good question. Bizzle A says, do you think they'll do the same for Dogman slow drip disclosure? I think so. Simply because there's just way too much information about Dogman. And the other night we had Dr. Meldrum on the show. He said he's not a believer in Dogman, and I didn't argue the case with the guy. But I've had a Dogman sighting. I saw one. So for me, there's no proof. Again, no proof needed. I think we're going to hear more and more. And if you look at the news and in and around the LBL area, especially the Kentucky and Tennessee area near LBL, there are a lot of wild dog attacks or animal attacks on people that are dead. And the articles disappear as quick as they appear. You'll have an article on for a while, and it'll be up for a little bit, and then you're going to look for it again, and it'll be gone. Taylor, Mississippi is the same way. They just did a news article not even a year ago about animal mutilations near Taylor, Mississippi, which is where the siege of Lockett Ranch happened. I think we're going to see more and more information of Dogman coming out as well.
Wisconsin's always been
Yeah.
Wisconsin and Michigan both.
Yep.
It's like me and Robbie. Robbie had a sighting. I had a sighting. I had never had a sighting of a Dogman. Have you, Robbie?
Not that I know if that's what it was or not.
Now, do I believe that they exist? Yeah. You know why? Because I had a sighting of Bigfoot. You know, if that's possible, what else is possible? That's where you got to, you know.
That's why you have to look at it. I mean, it's like I told you, DA, at a certain police department that I used to work at, they used to laugh me out of the police department about it. But they believed in ghosts. I'm like, how can you believe in ghosts and not believe in Bigfoot? Or how can you say you believe in ghosts, but then say I'm crazy for believing in Bigfoot?
Right.
I mean, you know, if you're gonna accept something like that, then you have to accept the other because I mean, there's so much in this world that we don't know.
Got to keep an open mind.
Anything about.
I mean, there are areas on this continent where I'm not even talking about deep, dark Africa or South America and the deep jungles of the Amazon. There are places on this continent that no man has ever set foot in.
Right.
You get into some of the areas up in Canada, like I'm in British Columbia, there are mountains, valleys, and places that no human has probably ever been that we know of.
Yeah.
Well, Native Americans probably, but not us.
But in the same sense, I mean, you look at the Makili in Africa, the Congo, or whatever. I mean, as far back as as recent rather, as 30 years ago, maybe even not even that long. You know, these natives are still drawing pictures of this thing. Oh, they see it in the river every day.
Right.
But because we haven't seen it, the modernized West, it
was the same way with the mountain gorilla. The natives talked about it forever. The billy ape, the natives talked about it, said, yeah, we see it all the time. And local modern science is like, no. The killer ape theory is BS. And then National Geographic gets one on a trail cam, and they're like, holy crap, what's that?
And then they killed one. They shot one.
The billy ape are vicious.
Yeah. I mean, this thing is killing lions, and it's actually using clubs, weapons.
Highly aggressive, and it spends most of its time walking bipedally.
They shot
Nathaniel
one.
De Leon asks, he says, who are you guys' favorite early years Sasquatch investigators? I pretty much read everything I could get my hands on from Dr. Bindernagel, from Lauren Coleman. Pretty much anything about Bigfoot that came out from 1972 until modern times, I pretty much grabbed and read. But I would have to say it'd be Bindernagel, definitely Lauren Coleman. All the old classic ones are really the first real sources that I read. But now it's just pretty much, if there's a book about Bigfoot that comes out, I've either read it or have it in my library.
Right. I'm the same here.
Yeah. I kind of like you, the earlier, like In Search Of, that was some of my favorite stuff.
Oh yeah, the old Leonard Nimoy In Search Of.
Yeah.
Cryptidville says, did you guys see the security cam footage from Florida of the Velociraptor? I'd like to see that. If you've got a link to it, send it to me in email. We'll check it out, maybe talk about it on the show. I have not seen that. However, I take most video footage with a grain of salt unless I know the source. Because it's so hard. It's so easy to fake videos like that.
Yeah. I agree. Photoshop, people. Photoshop. Remember that. Everybody does Photoshop now. What else we got?
Tony Harris says that's what the government does with shady stuff. They'll have to report on, release it on Friday afternoon. It'll disappear over the weekend. He's not wrong.
No.
Cryptoville's going to see if he can find that footage and send me a link. folks, this is something that we can beat over the head, like flogging a dead horse, so to speak. This is something we can beat over the head for hours on end. For those of us who believe no proof is necessary, for those who do not, no proof will do short of a body, and that's unfortunate the way it's going to be. But for those of us that have had those kind of experiences, that have seen something or experienced something, we we believe it's there. We don't, and for a lot of cases like Robbie and Anthony that literally were within feet of one, you're not going to shake their belief, and it's not belief. They freaking know because they saw it. They saw it with their own eyes. There's nothing you're ever going to say that's going to say, well, maybe you just made that up. It's like if you said I saw a roadrunner on the side of the road here in Missouri, people would go, they're not native to Missouri. They couldn't possibly be in Missouri. Yet there were a bunch of them down in Branson for years. Mm-hmm. I don't know who released them, but there were roadrunners all over the place. And I tell you, never a more vicious bird will you ever meet. Roadrunners will hunt and kill rattlesnakes. That is a mean little bird.
Yeah. We got peacock. Peacocks are wild out here. I mean, really. But peacocks? Come on.
That's my whole point, though, folks.
Well, we're starting to get armadillos in South Carolina now.
They're all over Missouri.
We got them all over.
Possums.
Yeah, we got them here in Florida all
tactical
over.
Assault possums.
Yeah, up armored possums.
Yeah, we call them tactical assault possums.
There you go.
Yeah.
But again, folks, what we have is theory. We can't prove it to anybody, and in many cases, nothing you did or said, short of dragging them out and throwing them in front of one so they could see it for themselves, is probably ever going to change their mind. Even if they saw a video of somebody with a live Sasquatch, they're going to go, "That's photoshopped."
Right.
So, in a lot of cases, no proof will ever do, short of them seeing one for themselves. Anthony wasn't a believer until he saw one. That's so many cases of people that I've talked to and people I've interviewed personally that had started the story out with, I didn't believe in any of this crap, and then one day, and that's how those stories start out. I was hunting or I was fishing, I was camping, and I looked up and there it was. And those are the stories that people who experience this because it shakes them. It's a paradigm shift. It is your entire paradigm shifting. You went from your insular little world where monsters didn't exist to, oh my God, what else is out there?
Mm-hmm.
And we just don't know. There's too much mystery in this world for us to conclusively say that none of these cryptids exist.
Believe me, if I can be out 24/7 doing research and make money doing it and presenting evidence, I would do it.
Oh yeah.
I'd be out there doing it. I know what to look for. I know where to go. It's that's what annoys me about certain things that I see on TV. None of these people have any kind of experience whatsoever, and they're making millions of dollars doing this.
Folks, if you've had an experience, if you've seen something like this, don't ever let anybody tell you you're crazy, because people will. Even your own family are going to tell you, "Oh no, you're either making it up or it's just your imagination." Don't let people convince you that, because there are places like this where people gather where we do believe you. It's just too common. There are so many people, and it's not like years ago when we would see somebody interviewed on TV about a trailer, where you'd get a tornado, like you'd get the guys out of Arkansas, like you had 2 teeth left. Yeah, I saw the tornado as it blew by and it took my pink flamingos. Mm-hmm. It's not people like that anymore. It's not just the backwood hillbillies that they make fun of on the news. You got doctors and lawyers and judges and people from all walks of life who've had encounters with these creatures, and it's the encounter stories are on the rise. Mm-hmm. We're seeing more and more encounters. Just as we're seeing more wildlife come into cities, we've had mountain lions and black bears here in Springfield. And Springfield's the 3rd largest city in Missouri. Now, we're not the size of Chicago, but if you took in the greater Springfield area with all the little bedroom communities, you're looking at 250,000 people. That's a lot of people for you to be seeing mountain lions and black bears in town. And I don't know if it's that they're losing their fear of us or if they're just getting bolder. Um, Maybe they're looking for easier meals. But I
Right.
think the same thing is happening with cryptids. People are seeing them in places they hadn't seen them before.
I think a lot of it's out of necessity, like we talked about earlier. I mean,
I agree.
the habitat's disappearing. You know, humans have a need to settle everything. You know,
Yeah, and you've got populations of deer that are having to be put down because of chronic wasting disease. As
Mm-hmm.
games become scarce, other items go on the menu, and that includes trash cans, small pets, even large pets, and occasionally people.
yeah.
I firmly believe a lot of the missing 411 cases are not just animal predation, but cryptid predation as well. Um, Well, Werewolf says, I used to think armadillos died drinking Lone Star. I remember those Lone Star beer commercials down in New Mexico. The giant armadillo attacking Lone Star trucks. Those were hilarious. Um, Anthony's dogs are getting excited.
No, they want to
Folks,
go out. I got them kenneled up. That's why I'm looking at them.
we're at the 2 hours and 20 minute mark. We usually wrap up between 2 and 2.5 hours, and I think this is a good place to start wrapping things up. I want to thank our guests tonight. Thank you to Stacy Brown Jr. for coming on and talking about his stories. Robbie, thank you for coming on, brother.
Yeah,
It
man,
takes a
nice
lot
to
of
meet
guts
you.
to come into a public forum like this and talk about something like this.
Oh, yeah.
And
Hey, anytime y'all want me on to talk, this is one of my favorite subjects. So
you're welcome to jump in anytime.
Yeah,
Just
man.
let us know. You're now part of the DAX Machina family. So if you want to jump in and just voice your conversation, you're more than welcome. Just shoot me a line, and we'll send you a link, and you can come in and chat with us. Folks, thank you guys for joining us. Thank you guys so much for sharing your time, sharing your experiences, and just sharing your days with us. You spend time with us. You guys interact with us in the chat. And I've said it many times. I'll say it again. I will probably always say this. We don't have fans. We have friends. And I enjoy hanging out with everybody because to me, this is just like sitting around a campfire with a can of beer talking to people we've known them for years. And it's something I hope that this show will always be, where we're able to come on here and just have a talk and chat and hang out, have a good time, and talk about subjects that are near and dear to us, which is cryptids and other creepy stuff. Um, so much things I want to do and say. I want to thank people. I want to thank everybody on the Patreon community. If you guys are members of the Patreon community, go over and check it out. I have the preview of the new cover for Apex Predator, the fifth in the series. So if you're a member of the Patreon community, that is already up over there for you guys to check out. And also later tonight, I'm going to be sharing a little sample of the new book with the Patreon. So if you're a member of the Patreon community, look for that. I'll have probably the first chapter of Apex Predator 5 up for people to check out. That kind of as a teaser preview. So if you want to check that out, go over to patreon.com/DARobertsauthor. If you guys want to check out my books, please go over to daroberts.net. Pretty much everything I've got is on that website, even links to this show as well as my blog. And I hope you guys will check that out as well. And just remember, there are no experts in this field. Anybody that tells you they're an expert on any cryptid subject is trying to sell you something.
Yeah.
All we have is theory, and you guys' theories are just as good as any of ours. We're trying to learn as much as we can about this subject, and we're sharing our stories. And it's an open forum where we can do that. I want to thank each and every one of you guys for joining us tonight. I hope you guys will join us on Saturday night when we have Jesus Payan from Breaking Bad, one of the cast members from Breaking Bad. He has a Bigfoot channel called Breaking Bigfoot. He's going to be joining us, and we'll be talking to him Saturday night. Also, Josh Jones will be coming on with us to show a preview of the upcoming video game. So we got a last minute question tossed in here. Tammy Lamb says, question, were the sightings of bear mountain lions pre-pandemic or during the pandemic? Actually, we've been seeing them coming into town for years. Started showing up on doorbell cams and security cameras probably 2016, 2017. So it's been happening for a while. I wouldn't say the pandemic had any effect on it. It's just more people were at home to notice it. So hope you guys will join us on Saturday when we have Jesus Payan from Breaking Bad. He's got a Bigfoot channel. He's got a lot of great information. Check out his Bigfoot channel. It's called Breaking Bigfoot on YouTube. Got some great videos, including one good clip where they've got a video from a Navajo reservation of what appears to be a Bigfoot walking across a plateau.
Yeah.
Really good video. It's from a distance, but the video is really pretty good. So check that out. There's some great videos. I shared that in Team DA as well, and on the North American Dogman Region 2 page. Just a reminder to everybody, next week, that is my wife's birthday, and we are going to be going out of town, so there won't be any shows at all next week. Going to go on a hiatus. I apologize for that, but I'm gonna. My wife's turning 50, and this is kind of a big deal for her. So we're gonna be out of town for a little bit. Gonna hopefully have a real good time. I am, however, going to try to get some footage of an area I've wanted to go to for a long time while we're on our little vacation. So hope you guys will check that out and be watching for that. William Bedard says, give us a $2 super chat. Says thylacine still exists but covered up for logging. Yeah, there have been more and more videos of the thylacine, which is the the Tasmanian tiger.
You're right.
Those are starting to come forward, and I think that's pretty awesome. But again, join us Saturday night. Robbie, thank you, brother, for coming on. Appreciate you very much.
Nice meeting you, Rob.
Nice meeting you too, Ed.
You are welcome to jump in with us anytime when we're talking Bigfoot. Just shoot me a message and we'll get you jumped in. And want to thank everybody again. We've had a great time tonight. And just a reminder, there will be no shows next week, but there is one this Saturday. So look for other shows to get posted following next week. But we've got a lot of birthdays in May, mine's in June. So there's going to be some shows we miss over the next few weeks. So, but we'll announce those ahead of time so you guys know. And again, thank you guys. Hope you guys will join us on Saturday. Robbie, brother, I appreciate you coming on. And another shout out quick, Stacy Brown Jr. Check his channel out, Bigfoot Stacy on YouTube. And hope you guys will join us on Saturday. So hope you guys have a great night, and we will see you guys on Saturday. Good night, everybody.
Thank you for joining us. Catch us again Wednesdays and Saturdays on DAX Machina. A special thanks to all our channel members and Patreon supporters. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe.